Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar. My name is Garnett Weber. I'm one of the founders of itracks. We have been providing online qualitative software for the past 18 years. I will be hosting today's session. We want to engage with you and answer your questions. As questions come up, please enter them into the chat area of the GoToWebinar platform, and we will have a question and answer session after the presentation today. Today's webinar topic is connecting online focus groups to surveys for richer insights. The webinar presentation will be provided by Dan Weber and Ann-Marie Sonmez. As President and CEO, Dan Weber has grown itracks into the specialty online qualitative software and market research firm it is today. Dan attended the University of Saskatchewan, where he obtained a Bachelor of Science degree. He then acquired the practical knowledge of traditional market research while working for a management consulting firm. It was while working at this firm that he conceptualized the idea of taking traditional research methodologies online. Dan founded itracks in 1998, and he is a pioneer in online surveys and online qualitative software. He has since built itracks into the leading qualitative software provider that it is today. He's been instrumental in facilitating many of the world's leading research agencies and moderators to use and co-create itracks' qualitative platform. Ann-Marie Sonmez has been working with itracks for the past 2 years and is currently in the role of Key Account Manager. Prior to joining itracks, Ann-Marie worked in the telecommunications industry in a variety of roles. She has a Bachelor of Business Administration from Thompson Rivers University, majoring in marketing and minoring in international business. Ann-Marie enjoys traveling and learning about new markets and approaches to research and communications. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, thank you, Garnett. I certainly appreciate the introduction. Welcome, everyone. I have a very exciting topic to speak about today. It's a bit of an exciting movement that I would say that's happening throughout the qualitative research industry. Over the past maybe 10 or 15 years, as we've been developing online features and online qualitative, what I've recognized or noticed is the need or demand for marrying quantitative elements or components with the qualitative. And after many years of hearing my customers speak to me about that need and wanting to somehow make it more seamless, we really sat down as a software company and looked to try to provide a mechanism to allow that to happen. So what I'm going to be speaking about to you today is what we use from a term standpoint here at itracks is integration. And in its simplest form, integration is moving participants directly from a quantitative survey or screener, either directly into a qualitative exercise or to another qualifying or staging activity prior to a qualitative event. So if you can imagine, you have a quant exercise, maybe a tracking study or a survey that you're planning to collect quantitative data. We can now move people from that exercise based on their answers directly into a qualitative exercise. So whether you're using Qualtrics, Decipher, even SurveyMonkey, any quantitative platform, we can move you using what we're called securely using APIs to pass that information to our system and then actually have that person registered and ready to go into a qualitative exercise. So why is this important? There's a number of different reasons that it's important and why it is benefiting the industry and why people are using it. Number one, it significantly speeds up the recruit times. As fast as you can have a screener survey programmed and people going through your survey, you can be having them engage in a qualitative exercise. So we often turn around recruits for people within 24 hours now. Again, it's typically the client that needs, to get their ducks in order to make sure that it's ready to go. One thing you will need to recognize is that the qualitative exercise needs to be ready. We can get people into the study quite quickly. But obviously it needs to be ready to go when we get started. There's a significant step which assists in the recruiting, where the participants don't have to be sent additional login information. Our system automatically does that. So not only do they log in, do they pass the terms of use, do they get introduced to the software so they can understand and know what how it's used. But if they need to log back in at a future time or date, that information is automatically sent. So there's no administration. Everything is proper. There's no mistakes made by humans. That information is sent directly to the participant. It also provides an important step, which allows some clients are very they want to be very involved in the study. They want to understand and know their participants. This method allows for screening options where the client can participate if they choose. So as the people are qualifying, they can be watching these people come in. They can be reviewing their pre-screener questions or their articulation questions, and they can actually be helping in the choice of participants that they'd want to continue or follow up. This method applies a filter. It's notwithstanding, just looking at the latest great report, one of the greatest concerns that is coming out of the industry as it pertains to online panel is cheaters and repeaters, and people that aren't necessarily bots, for instance, aren't necessarily who they say they are or why they're there. This method allows for a level of a screening or a filter that will make sure that these people are qualified. And we can speak to that a little bit later, but effectively, once you come into the study, you're asked a qualifying or a rescreening question that can be done with a video. So I have to re-answer my questions. Obviously, I'm articulate or not, and that can be screened out. But we can even go one step further and ask people to show me your driver's license. Are you who you say you are? What we found is those that aren't who they say they are drop out at this stage, and you're no longer having to deal with them or guess whether they're going to show and are they proper. But what you end up with is a quality recruit ready to go. The other important feature is that if you're ever dealing with low incidence studies, this extends the recruitment reach by you're able to simply coordinate multiple recruiting providers. Everybody from every study is going in through this integration link. And so if you need 3 or 4 different suppliers on the same study to get your work, this is certainly the method of choice for doing that. So let me speak a little bit about kind of the way we're using the integration with our two main products, both in asynchronous activities like the bulletin board, and then synchronous activities like the real-time events. So in the asynchronous activities, participants move directly from the screener upon qualifying into an online discussion board activity. So again, you've set this up, you've got your screening questions, you know exactly who you want. Those people make it through the study. They're invited at that point. Congratulations, you've qualified for a study. Would you like to continue and register? They click yes. They're moved along with whatever information you wanted that is collected in that study and moved to our software. Using secure APIs, we can pass grouping data or information. So let's say, for instance, you want males in one group and females in the other. This can automatically be done so that those people are separated when they arrive in the bulletin board study. It is at this point where we typically ask an articulation or rescreening question. So they've passed the study, they've passed the terms of use, they're right in an actual board itself. And the first question before you open up any of the other questions are, tell us a little bit about, or a rescreening question about that you entered. Obviously, if they don't match, that's cause for concern, and we're not going to keep them. But often right now, what we're seeing is they're asking them to shoot a video. And hi, I'm Dan Weber. You can see me. Here's my license. I am indeed the person that you want for this study. Do we see people dropping out at this stage? Absolutely. Do you need to recruit obviously more people that actually pass through the screener, make it to this phase? Do they drop out? Yes. Those that drop out probably are often the people that shouldn't have been there in the first place. So it's an excellent way to really qualify who you're getting. And what we're finding is clients appreciate understanding and knowing the participants prior to the actual research starting. Yes, this is a real person. Yes, this is a physician from this part of the country. Indeed, this is the person that I want to talk to. What we find, and it's quite interesting, is that if they take the time to do the articulation question and the rescreening question, there's a high propensity for them to return. So it takes a bit of the guessing game out of recruit 10 to hope that 5 show up. In an online environment, I know sometimes that can be tricky. There's often a whole bunch of callbacks and reminders involved. What we found is if they do the video and the articulation study, they're bought in, and the propensity for them to return, unless it's something significant that's typically that's happened to them, which isn't unusual, a few, but you can guess with some certainty that you're going to get the people that you need. This, as I mentioned, it allows for high-level validation. You can see the people's driver's license. You can see, if they're members of certain clubs or whatever you're looking to assert. The other option that we're seeing, if in cases where you have a pre-qualified list, let's say you're doing an employee study and everyone qualifies, well, you can recruit directly to the activity. So if your study's ready, you can actually send out the emails, people move in, and they actually can start immediately. There's no timing. You don't have to, advertise when it's going to start. Basically, as soon as they get in and they're ready to go, they can go into the study. So there's other cases where that might be useful. For instance, if people are on a website and they're going through a purchasing activity, maybe they drop out, and you want to understand why they're dropping out of that activity. You can invite them directly into a study. We know they're the person they want because that's the person you want to talk to. We can move them directly into the bulletin board activity and have them complete the qualitative exercise. So that's really what we're talking about. Again, it can be used specifically just for qualitative exercises or as an add-on to a larger study, marrying that quant and qual exercises. Maybe you have all the reasons why you've identified issues or pieces or parts you want to study in the quantitative exercise. Let's get to the why answers. This is an excellent way for doing that. So at this time, I'm going to pass the controls over to Ann-Marie, and she's going to just run you through a quick demonstration and show you a little bit about how you might move directly from that quantitative exercise into a bulletin board activity, and then she'll pass this back. Ann-Marie, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Dan and Garnett, for the kind introduction, and hello, everyone. We will be quickly changing screens, so I appreciate your patience during this time. So we're basically going through the screening process here, and it's our quant-qual tool. As you can see, it just looks like any standard surveys inquiring about general questions about our participant. This study is about moviegoers, so the primary question is how often you go to the movies. PII is very important to us at itracks, and we are currently GDPR compliant. If you're interested in viewing this webinar, please go to our past webinars on the itracks website. Once our participant Troy accepts participating into the board, he's led to the Go page, as you can see. From here, he will be led into the home page, where we provide information about the study, including technical support, contact information, which we have available 24 hours a day, Monday to Friday, and at help@itracks.com during the weekends, along with how to respond to questions and a quick introduction of the study. Once Troy has gone through all of this, he can easily just jump into the discussion, and we see day one shows, and it's a multiple choice style question, where Troy indicates the movies he prefers. We also have various question types that are available from single choice, video response, and many more. After Troy responds to this, he's going to leave a short little description of why he likes these types of movies, and he can go ahead and post the reply. Once he's completed, Troy is able to review other participants' comments as the question is set in uninfluenced mode. As this is a quick brush through of our board, please contact your itracks account executive for a more in-depth demonstration. I will be now sending it back to Dan so he can go over the synchronous style.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. So again, not rocket science, but technology that works. We can help you set up any study and move them directly into an online bulletin board application. I'd like to continue our discussion and talk a little bit about how we can use integration when you have either interviews or online focus groups in synchronous activities. Again, a very useful tool assisting in the recruiting process, really looking at speeding up research and again qualifying your participants. So again, participants move directly from the screener upon qualifying into an articulation or registration activities. Articulation and rescreening again is recommended. Those people have to shoot a video and make sure that they are indeed who they say they are. This application also allows the participants to choose from a convenient time for doing their individual interview. So again, I've just finished the study. I've been invited. Now choose from an available selected times to do my actual interview. Of course, these have been pre-selected by the moderator or the researcher as available times. Those people go ahead and pick the time that's convenient to them, and the researcher gets an indication and an update to their schedule that an IDI or an interview has been fulfilled. The participant can also then add to their own calendar. They'll receive an email where they can add it to their calendar. We found this feature has greatly increased show rates. I'm sure anyone who has been involved in doing individual interviews, one of the biggest excuses, I forgot. It wasn't in my calendar. I didn't remember. Once something goes in someone's calendar, there's a far greater propensity for them to actually join and be on time. So that feature Ann-Marie is going to show you as well. One thing that's important, especially when you're doing video focus groups, is by asking this articulation question, we understand and know that they have video equipment, and we know that it works. I know that sounds trivial, but certainly I'm sure that some of you have been involved where someone has said that they have a working camera and it's either ancient or it's just simply not working and working well. If we see, for instance, issues like sound quality or lighting, our tech support can follow up with the participant prior to the actual IDI and make sure that everything is in order before their interview takes place. So a really convenient and easy way to make sure that you're going to get the quality of that you're looking for. Once again, you can get high level of validation with this, making sure that these people are indeed who you want them to be. So once again, I'm going to pass the controls over to Ann-Marie. She's going to run you through, again, a quick demonstration of how people move from the quantitative exercise into the qualitative, and then show you a few features once you get there. Ann-Marie?
Thank you, Dan. And I'll be switching screens again, so we'll just take a little bit here, and then we'll jump into that real-time integration and time selection. As you can see, we're going to be walking through the participant view. So we're going to start with the respondent receiving an email from FG Info, and we get to see that the participant again is Troy. To start the survey, Troy clicks on that link, and once clicking on the link, Troy provided information about the study and is asked if he would like to continue. It gives the participants the option, as we do require some PII, as mentioned previously, from all of our participants. Troy accepts the invite and is asked additional qualifiers to ensure that he is a good match for this specific study. In this case here, we do ask if he does have webcam capabilities and if he's willing to share his webcam during this specific online group. So Troy now is going to provide his information. Once that's all done, he's actually going to qualify, and once he presses continue, the participant puts in their PII. So again, in this case, we ask for first, last name, and an email address. And the participant is led to the Go page, where they ensure their contact information is correct. Once confirmed, Troy will choose a time that best suits his needs. If this time is not available, he can click the None of These Work for Me, which will then make him an additional participant in case the other respondents are a no-show. Troy chooses his time, and that slot is highlighted. Once he's ready, he'll go ahead and click Next, and he'll move over to the activity confirmation page, which will also be sent directly to his email. So when Troy goes back to his email address, we'll be able to see another email has come in from the FG Info page. And he's capable of accessing the interview directly from this area. As you can see, it also indicates a little calendar invite there as well. So we're capable of putting that in your Gmail, your Outlook, or whatever source of email that you use. Along with this page, you will find all of his login information, as well as any additional information or details about this study. So in this case, we have the phone number, the PIN number, and what time he's supposed to do his interview at. Participants are also capable of using their mobile device to select their times, and it will be the exact same interface as it is on the desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Dan.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Again, so quick, easy, certainly something that can be deployed and with any quantitative exercise. So just to finish up, I wanted to run you through a quick case study where one of our clients has used integration and the results of that study and why it was beneficial in her case. So our client, Santiago Research, was faced with a challenge. They were required to quickly and cost-effectively engage in a very low incidence group of participants to gather consumer insights. The parents were part of the study, and they needed to have children ages 4 to 14. They had to have done crafts with their kids using styrofoam shapes during the past year. There was geographic components, gender and age quotas. What they found was this, I must say I haven't done any styrofoam projects, crafts with my kids, and I'm unaware of any other of my friends that have, but there were a few, which is good, but the IR amongst men, unfortunately, was quite low. So we needed to go to a number of sample sources to find people that would that qualified. The methodology of choice in this case was video focus groups. People would connect from their home, 8 participants, and discuss the product with client observers in the background from the manufacturer. So what they did, we set up the quant to qual integration. So everyone went through this screener. And then they moved on. They were able to book that actual focus group in their calendar. They went ahead and did an audio check and a video check. We were able to determine those that were not only articulate and capable, but certainly found those that may not have been qualified. And then we finalized with the video screening and making sure that they were who they said they were. And here's some client feedback. It was so cool to be able to meet the respondents before the group. I think this is an excellent touch to the recruiting process. Not only can you see who has adequate tech connections, can articulate themselves appropriately, but asking that final questions helps me as a moderator. I now know the types of projects that have made with the product going into the group. It will save me some time during the live group, and it was a double check to ensure they are qualified. I definitely recommend adding this feature to your recruiting process. So certainly a success. This doesn't speak to larger projects and things where quantitative is the primary exercise. But let's speak a little bit to that before we get to questions. So when should we be using integration? When recruiting from online panel as a quality check. I know there's some debate over recruiting methods and how they should be done. Sometimes traditional recruiting just isn't an option. When you have a wide breadth of people, when you have multiple languages, when you have very, very low incidence and you have very quick timelines, online may be your only option. Using integration with the quality checks in place is a very good way to quickly recruit low incidence studies. Another option is when you're really looking to enhance your quant research. This is kind of I would say our quickest growing area of research, where people are marrying their quant exercises and saying, asking the client, would you like some further feedback, more in-depth work with that quant exercise? And so they're simply adding a focus group to the end of their study. And if there are any target areas or any places where they know they want to dig deeper or likely want to dig deeper, they can set that up in advance or on the fly and automatically be moving people into qualitative exercises. When you need very fast turnaround, I've been in the industry for 20 years and I'm unaware of a study where I've been told that don't worry, it isn't going to start for a while. In most cases, research is needed quickly. When it's needed very quickly, this is a method of choice. It can be turned around in a very quick time frame. Certainly, when your audience is low incidence and you need to use multiple suppliers, because we're using technology to integrate this. Each of your suppliers are simply feeding the same quant study, and then again, regardless of who they're coming from, they're moving directly into the group. It saves so much administrative and recruiting time. It's certainly a way to bring in multiple suppliers on one project. And then when show rates are critical. Often, you can go through different recruiting methods. We found a measure of success using this methodology, and those that are being recruited are showing up. And of course, that saves the embarrassment of having clients sitting in the back room and no one coming in. So certainly, those are the areas where we're finding people are leaning on us, and when they're using integration as part of their research, I would say. Now over 75% of our clients are using integration to some form or effect. It's becoming a technology of choice. So with that, I know that I wanted to leave a little bit of time for questions, and I'm certain that we may have some. Garnett, maybe you can take over control of the questions, and
Yes.
Ann-Marie and I can try to answer them the best of our ability.
Yes, if you have questions, please enter them into the chat area at the bottom of the GoToWebinar panel. We have some that were submitted during the course of the presentation, so we'll begin that now. Feel free to add more questions as we go. All right, so the question is, what is the recommended recruitment rate? So Dan, can you comment on the degree of over-recruitment? You mentioned that can vary with this new type of methodology.
Certainly. So it depends on exactly how you're defining recruitment. There's a number of people that are obviously going to pass through the study, but at that point, I wouldn't consider them recruited. They've simply made their way through the study, whether right or wrong. But then you do need to go into that extra phase where you're qualifying them further, making sure that everything is in order. And if they participate in that activity and they've gone through that themselves, then we see a very high show rate. So for instance, if I have people that that have passed through the screener, gone through all of the testing questions and so on, I may need 10 people to expect 7 or 8 to show. So you don't need a large over recruit at that point, but you may have put 20 people through your screener in order to get those 10 qualified people, expecting, like I said, 7 or 8 to show.
Great. All right, next question. Do you have to pass PII, or can you pass single sign-on credentials? For example, if someone is part of our panel, instead of requiring them to enter name and email address, can we use a single sign-on and they would authenticate on our side and then transfer to your application?
That's a good question. We haven't had that request as of yet. We have the only PII that we require at this point is for communication. So we do ask for, at the minimum, an email, because throughout the course of the actual study, there are elements where they may require support. So, you know, and reminders from the system. But that is something I can certainly speak to my technical staff and crew about. It would require possibly having someone like yourselves or the person that's responsible for managing some elements of technical support. Otherwise, we have no way to contact or get a hold of these people during the process. We obviously signed all of the required non-disclosure documents. We do work with most of the major suppliers, sample providers in the industry, knowing that there is a minimum level of PII required to administer some of these projects. But I would be open for discussion about any further technology development that would allow that.
Great, thanks. All right. Can the participants be separated into subgroups in the discussion board based on their survey responses?
Absolutely. So any of the data that you're collecting in your screener can also be ported over and used for grouping within our bulletin board software, and in addition to the real-time events as well. So it's a really important and interesting feature because it basically manages all the administrative components with regards to getting those groups set up. So again, if you wanted just females and males split, even beyond that, if you wanted certain geographies, you can have any of that information passed over. The nice part about that as well is when you're actually doing the group, you can check that effectively that person's profile. So you can see what they answered in the quantitative exercise and be on top of those pieces of research while you're participating here in the actual study.
Great. All right. Is there an example of showing a focus group being conducted by a moderator that we can see how it actually works? And I can speak to that. Yes, we have a number of resources available on our website, itracks.com, and you can see how it works. We can also follow up with some resources in a follow-up email, just some links to be able to so you can see how the actual online qualitative focus groups actually work. All right, next question. For synchronous activities, do you have a reminder and rescheduling process?
Yes, we do. we have the ability for someone to come in and reschedule their time. And from the software as well, we're able to send reminders, batch reminders to all of the people that are scheduled for those activities. So we have a broadcasting tool within Go and that allows you to do all of that.
Great, thank you. All right, so it looks like we have finished through all of the questions. Thank you very much, Dan and Anne-Marie, for the presentation today, and thanks everyone for joining us. We will have a follow-up email that will provide a link to the recording of the webinar, and we will follow up with links and different things requested during the Q&A session. And feel free to reach out to us at any time if you have further questions about integration or any questions about how the online qualitative sessions would actually work. We'd be very happy to assist. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.